So I recently discovered that if you mix protein powder with yogurt, it creates the perfect healthy snack. The protein powder somehow stiffens the yogurt and creates an incredible texture. The problem is that I want to stop using protein powders. I'm not completely against additives or whatever, but if you look at how many ingredients are in protein powder, it's not ideal. So I was wondering, can I create this sort of dessert still using yogurt but without the protein powder? I started by experimenting with thickening agents, xanthan powder, corn flour and guar gum. Xanthan had little impact on the actual texture, cornflour tasted disgusting, guar gum though had a neutral flavour and had the most power in terms of thickening. Guar gum is a completely natural ingredient extracted from guar beans, which is a plant mainly grown in India. It's used in loads of stuff that you're probably already eating, and it's mainly used either to help keep food shelf stable or as a thickening agent. In its role as a thickening agent, it has 8 times the thickening power of corn flour. It's flavourless, it's gluten-free, it isn't impacted by heat, and it's also vegan. In short, it's perfect.
Perfect in every way.
Guar gum is definitely my choice of thickening agent for this recipe. A little guar gum goes a long way, so you only need about 1 gram of guar gum for every 100 gram of yogurt. And all it does for us in this context is to make the yogurt a little bit thicker. Though one of the most appealing aspects of using protein powder with yogurt is that it dries it out and stiffens it and creates a really satisfying texture. So though the guar gum helps to thicken the yogurt, it doesn't dry it out at all. To achieve that stiffness, we need to use some sort of powder. I experimented with a bunch of different stuff: cocoa powder, milk powder, peanut powder, powdered oats, and so on. All of these different powders created a slightly different effect. Some actually softened the yogurt, whereas some, as planned, thickened it, and some just had no impact at all. In any case, from all this research, I've came up with a blueprint for this dish, which you can use to create it in whichever way you like. First, the thickening agent. I recommend guar gum, and I recommend 1% by weight. So for example, if you have 100 grams of Greek yogurt or ricotta or whatever, you want to use 1 gram of guar gum. Next, you have your base. In my head, it was Greek yogurt, but you could also use ricotta or kefir or some other sort of dairy product. Then you want to use some sort of powder. You could use cocoa powder, peanut powder, milk powder, or if you have it, just use protein powder. You could also use whey isolate, which is basically just the whey part of protein powder. Basically protein powder without all the flavourings. Things get a little more interesting from here. You can add add-ons like sweetener, maple syrup, or cinnamon, depending on what you like. Finally, you've got your toppings. You could use berries, some sliced banana, some maple syrup, or some roasted nuts. This is just a foundational blueprint that you can expand with whatever ingredients you like. Here's 3 examples of how you can use this blueprint. First up, here's a version using ricotta and peanut powder. Peanut powder is basically powdered peanut butter, by the way. To start, mix 1 gram of guar gum with a drop of water and whisk that up until it's all distributed. Then mix that with 100 grams of ricotta and 20 grams of peanut powder and mix that together with a fork. You want to mix it slowly at first to avoid a mess, and then rapidly. You also probably, unlike me, want to make sure that you're using bowls that are big enough. In any case, once that's fully mixed, top that with some sliced banana and drizzle over some maple syrup. The second recipe is using cocoa powder and Greek yogurt. It creates a sort of thick textured mousse. Again, mix 1 gram of guar gum with a drop of water and whisk that up. Then mix that with 100 grams of the thickest Greek yogurt that you can find, 20 grams of cocoa powder, and whisk that together with a fork. Again, mix that up slowly at first to avoid a mess, and then rapidly. The final version is a more creamy yogurt and milk powder mixture. This one tastes incredible. Again, 1 gram of guar gum, drop of water, whisk, mix that with 100 grams of the thickest Greek yogurt you can find, 20 grams of milk powder, and whisk that together with a fork. You then want to top that with some chopped roasted nuts and some dried fruit, maybe some raisins or dates or whatever you have. These 3 recipes are just examples of what you can do with the blueprint that I've defined earlier. You can use whatever you want, whatever toppings, whatever powder, or whatever flavourings to create something that you like. However you go about it, just make sure you're using healthy ingredients, because this is a really great way to add a healthy snack to your day. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you've enjoyed this recipe. In the meantime, the screen's probably currently barraging you with a bunch of stuff that I've made earlier. Feel free to click any of them. And by that I mean, click one of them right now, please.